Hey guys, this is my very first current speed build that I'm doing on the channel, and it is a build that I also got an idea of from Pinterest. So I was looking on Pinterest. Sometimes I go on there when I don't really have any ideas of what to build, and I found this really pretty house, and it looked kind of complicated to build in The Sims 4, but I decided to go for it and it turned out pretty well. It's not exactly right because, it's very hard to make something from real life turn exactly into exactly the same thing in The Sims 4, but I think I got it pretty close, and I did make some changes just based off of the size of the lots. Some of the house had to be cut off, but it wasn't like a big portion. It's just off the side of the garage. So the house that I based it off of, you can see the picture of it in the video, in the cover art for the video. And I think I did a pretty good job. The colors also aren't perfect because, with the swatches, The Sims 4, nothing can be perfect, but I did try my best. So here I am starting with the shell, and obviously in the picture you can only see the front of the house. So I tried to make the front as much like the picture as I could, and then I kind of had to improvise around that. I could see some of the right side of the house, I guess the left side from where you're looking at, but it was hard to kind of make the other side and the back kind of match what the front looks like because I didn't have a picture of what that really was like. So I just tried my best. I think I did a pretty good job. I tried to make it kind of the same style. I did add that roof, the super high roof, above the doorway, just like it had in the picture, and there were a lot of columns. I was kind of nervous to put so many columns because I usually try to avoid that, but hey, I'm trying to follow the picture, and sometimes it's good doing something different. I thought it was good because, I don't often do diagonal pieces like this, and I thought that was a good thing for me to try, and definitely something I should get used to because I might be using it in the future, and I have used it sometimes and it's kind of hard for me, but the more I use it, the easier it'll get. And here I am making the porch. I didn't know exactly how long it was because I couldn't tell from the picture, but I just kind of estimated, especially using the space that I had left on the lot. And I was able, thanks to terrain tools, I was able to use the garage look real because the terrain I edited to increase up to the garage so cars can theoretically drive up there and park. Obviously there are no cars in The Sims, but I did use debug cars and put them in the garage just to kind of mimic what the room would be used for, but you can always fill that with something different. And here I am trying to space out how far the roof is away from the column, and same with the balcony on the other side. And it was hard because in the picture it was kind of in between next to and one whole block, and unfortunately with The Sims 4 one block is kind of a lot, so it's hard to make a half block. You can't do that, so I just decided to keep it one away, and I just went with it. And the windows, obviously the windows in the picture, those do not exist in The Sims, but I just tried to go for something that looked very similar. I was able to use a lot of the Discover University windows, which are really, really good in this house and in just building in general, and I really love using them. And off to the side here, I did not know what to do, so I just kind of improvised, and I think it worked out pretty well. I made it kind of symmetrical. You'll see later I push that side out on the other side too, and I make it symmetrical. And I also had to add dormers, and the dormers in The Sims that they had, not the right color swatches, not the perfect style to match, but I did try my best to really match the dormers as much as I could to the real house. And I think I did okay. It doesn't match perfectly, but that's alright. And the house did originally have this like orangey kind of coppery roof on the bottom level, and then on the top level it had a gray roof, but I decided it did not look very good in The Sims, so I wanted to make the whole thing kind of cohesive with the roof color. I don't know, maybe one day I'll try to mix roof colors, but I don't know how to make it look good, at least not yet. So here I am making this side symmetrical, and now I'm creating the back, and I'm trying to make it, I'm going to try to think about how to make it kind of cohesive. And right here I'm checking to make sure the windows will fit around this piece, and then I'm going to kind of create the back. And I start trying a few different things. Not everything works. Start with that diagonal piece, but then I realize that it's not going to look great with the roofing, so I end up taking it off, just like that. And then I decide to kind of build a room off of that. So yeah, here I am just trying to make the build come together, and I love doing that trick with the roof where I extend that roof into the octagonal roof, because it just makes it look like it's more cohesive into the build. And it wasn't like that on the front, so I purposefully left that off in the front of the octagonal roof piece. And here I am playing with the terrain more. I'm kind of transitioning it up to the garage again, but basically what I'm doing is I'm making it so that you can walk off from one side, but then the other side you're gonna need stairs to get down. And I'm adding kind of a back porch. I want it to be similar to the front porch, so I added the same columns, and I used the spandrels like I used on the front, so I tried to do something similar. And here, this was a struggle. I could not find a good window for the life of me. So just excuse me while I take forever to figure out a window. Maybe I should have cut some of this out because it was a lot. And then I take a long time too to figure out the walls that I'm going to use. I end up choosing different wallpaper anyways, but I decided on the Seasons wallpaper for the rest of the house, which I thought was really good because in the picture it is a light kind of green minty color, but the siding that comes with Sims, so you'll see the one that I just tried out, it's very green, that green, and that's too green, and I didn't want to be like that, so I decided that I'd rather be a little bit darker blue than that bright green. So it is not mint green, but did try my best to make it something similar. And then there is a little rock kind of sidewall near around the garage, so I did, luckily the Sims Seasons did come with a wall like that, so I decided to use it. And I was gonna try to make these look more like garage doors with the shelves, because in the picture the garage doors do extend all the way out to the side of the garage, so I wanted to try to make it seem like it was a whole window, and the window did not fit in this build. So what I did is I ended up using the what's it called, adventure, the why can't I remember this, the adventure pack, and I used that to place next to the windows, as you saw, just to make the window kind of seem like it extended throughout that whole garage. And right now I'm just adjusting the columns, and I'm adding some freezes so that it can seem a little more natural, because I do not have those big arch kind of things like they did in the picture, unfortunately, but I tried my best to make it match as much as I could. And one thing I'm doing here is something I've never done before. I tried to make it all like a dark background, because in the picture, the window from the door extends all the way up to the window on the second level, and there was not a door tall enough that was dark brown that would work like that. So what I did is I used the same wallpaper that's against the garage doors, and I used that on the back just to make it seem like it was one cohesive window. And I've never done anything like that, especially like using such dark colors in the front, just the front window and door, and then using white for everything else. So that was kind of interesting to do, and I was afraid at first, but I think it definitely paid off. It looked pretty good. So right now I'm doing terrain paints, and I wanted to add a little walkway from the back there to the garage door, because I'm going to add a door in the back. And right now I'm clearing all the walls that I used to build so that everything is open and I can figure out the layout. Unfortunately, when I was putting the terrain down, what happened was I came back to the game and all the terrain was gone, but luckily the rest of the build was still there. So in, I guess, a few minutes or so, you're going to see the terrain paint kind of change, and I decided on a different color because I was doing it all over again. So that's the only reason why it changed, but I was kind of disappointed by that, but I did get to use a better kind of paint, so it will change in a little bit. But I did like the second time I did it better. So I'm still adding windows. I didn't add all the windows, I don't think, but I did add most of them. Sometimes I wait to see how I'm going to decorate the inside to find windows that match and to match the style of the house more and the style of the build. So I'm just doing that, you know, taking my time, figuring out what doors I want to use. I spend a lot of time on doors and a lot of time on windows. It's kind of funny, actually. I feel like I should not take this much time, but luckily we have these beautiful Discover University windows that I love using, and I did that here. And I also used a lot of cats and dogs stuff. I used the cats and dogs doors and the cats and dogs windows. The two on the back that you see there, those are cats and dogs. And I think I used a couple Season stuff too, because the Seasons has some good windows that are white. Oh, and over here I could not figure out what window to use to look good because I wanted it to be centered. I didn't want to fill up the whole space. So I do end up going with a cats and dogs window. And that's like the other windows that I had in the back, just a different shape and a different size. So here I am finishing up the terrain, which is going to change once I put the dirt down. But I wanted to make the dirt kind of cohesive with the space around it, because if you see on the sides of the lot, the grass there in those beds, it's very curvy, and I wanted to kind of make the terrain like that, and so it kind of fits into its environment. And here I go, creating a little space in the back. I ended up creating it off to the left side because I wanted it to be kind of off from the deck and just a little separate area. And now I'm just rounding out the edges, and in 1 second the terrain is going to change, but I think it works better. So I think it's a little darker and less like super patterny, and I was gonna just use dirt, but then I decided to add grass terrain color because of the grass on the sides of the lot, and because I feel like it's too much brown. Like the ground is already brown, so I wanted to add some color just to balance out the blue from the house too. And I'm just making sure I have grass everywhere and leave dirt on the edges. I like leaving dirt on the edges because it makes it seem a little more realistic, like the house was placed here and grass was placed around it, but there's not going to end up being grass everywhere. It's not perfect. There is going to end up being some dirt. So right now I'm adding plants. I started with the island living plants, just flat up back against the house, and then I added some base game flower plants. And what I do is I just use a bunch of different sizes and I'll rotate around the entire build, placing them, and then I'll pick a different plant and then I'll rotate around the entire build, placing that. And then once I've placed all the plants I want to, that I'm satisfied with, then I will go to each section and see what needs to be added, because sometimes not everything is filled, but I will try to fill it to my best ability. And I added rocks in the front because it wasn't super full and I thought that it needed something more, so I just decided to add rocks, and I thought that looked pretty good, especially with the rocks around this build in the surrounding environment. But I do place a lot of flowers, and I end up putting a tree in there too, because just to cover some of it, because it was a lot of the same kind of stuff. So I did not end up placing any super tall trees around this. I did put in a couple palm trees in my gallery version, but I did not do it in this video just because afterwards I kind of noticed that in the picture it does need some things around it, and I know in the picture of the real house there were no trees at all. The landscaping was a little different, so I did take some liberties on that. So I did add a couple palm trees just to fit its surroundings, because you can see the trees next to this lot are palm trees. So I did decide to go for those, just a couple around basically where I'm putting these trees. I'll add a couple palm trees around. So if you do want to see how it looks in the gallery build, I have mine there. And now I'm just figuring out the windows. Those are some more cats and dogs windows. And here I go with the rocks. And this is a lot of rocks, but I'll do kind of the same method that I do with my plants. I will place one type of rock in a bunch of random spots everywhere I want to place a rock. Then I will go to the next rock and I will do that, and I will turn them and move them with the Alt key just to make them not look the same, because I do not want the same rock in the same position over and over again. So I do switch up the rocks that I'm using and rotate each rock. So, and just I spread them out just to make sure I get even coverage. I don't want one rock in one area and entirely different rock and only that rock in the other area. So I do try to just make it a little bit different and switch it up. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating kind of a border for this area, and I got this idea from SimKim, and I know Kate Emerald does it too, but I love this idea of making curved patterns with plants because it's so much easier because it's so specific when you have to do it with fencing. So just doing it with plants makes it a lot easier, and I can create a cute border and just add some landscaping and some details to the house. And I will be placing my final few windows. I do place them a little bit later, like I said. And I'm trying to figure out door placement and all that. And now the layout. And I know the layout is very hard to do. It's hard to figure out, especially for me, because I overthink everything. And I did have to cut some parts out just because, like, that whole part with me figuring out the stairs, it was too much. But I do end up figuring out this layout and trying to fit the bedrooms in where all the bedrooms are connected to a hallway. That's kind of hard, so I do struggle with that a little bit here. And also one thing for me is I want all the windows to be even on the inside of the rooms, which is definitely like a kind of a perfectionism thing, but I think I end up making the rooms look pretty good. I add the bathrooms in between the two rooms, each of the two rooms on the side to fit that big window in evenly, and the two windows can be centered in the wall in each bedroom. So I decided there's a lot of extra room in between the rooms, so I do add closets. I don't always use closets, but if there is extra room and I don't want it to be awkward, I will do that. And every bedroom has its own bathroom, and then there is a bathroom downstairs as well, a half bath. So that totals out to 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, I think. And after I'm done filling out the layout, you'll see me count the bathrooms and bedrooms so I can put it in, because I always put it in the house information before I forget and have to recount it because I will forget. And now I'm adding the doorways and the doors, and I'm figuring out what room is going to be what. So like in the curved area in the back, the octagonal area, I knew that I wanted that to be a table because I wanted to do the big round tables that are so pretty. And I knew I wanted that big room with all the windows to be the living room because I knew I could place a giant fireplace there. Oh yeah, I just added the bathroom count. And I knew I wanted to make this house have dark wood on the inside just because the dark wood in the front of the house with the door and the dark wood on the garage doors, I wanted to match that. So I'm using, why can I not remember the name of this pack for the life of me? I'm pretty sure it's Jungle Adventure. I'm like, Adventure Pack. I'm using Jungle Adventure countertops. And I'm going to use the top counters as well, and I do struggle with this. I spent a lot of time on this, probably more time than I should have, but I love the counters. I think that the counters and the cabinets can make a really big difference in a build and in a kitchen. And kitchens are probably my favorite room to design, and that's because of this, because there's so many ways you can create a kitchen and add island. And I do end up adding chairs around this island. I don't know if it's in the video, but I do. I just forget when I'm doing this room all together, so I will add it later. And it did take me a while to figure out how I wanted to do the table and chairs, because I wanted the whole room to match, but the dining room ended up being a little bit of a different color than the kitchens, and I wanted to make sure the kitchen was neutral and the dining room wasn't too colorful. So after a while of playing around, I do cut some of it out. I end up kind of making the kitchen / dining room into a green kind of color. So right now I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my table, and I do end up deciding on this table, and I use a cats and dogs colored rug and the Realm of Magic rug in a mix of those two, just to make that green. And then I decided I want some tile on the walls too. But I want to make it cohesive, obviously, so I use my tile with the crowning on the top and the bottom to make it match the other wall in the room. And here I'm adding my bathroom, and I decided might as well add a door there just to make it kind of cohesive. And I added a mirror there to kind of fit in with the windows because that was kind of the one left out. I didn't want that wall to be left out. So I kind of made it seem like it was a window, but I just used a mirror instead. And here I'm adding lights. I love my subtle saucer light, so whenever I put a chandelier in or some sort of room lighting, overhead lighting, I put in the subtle saucer with it because it's so bright and you can secretly add it to so many things. So right now I'm going to do the family room, or I guess this is the living room. And yes, I do take a while again figuring out the rug, but I do end up doing a similar thing to what I did in the kitchen, which is add a bigger rug underneath this rug and then add the patterned rug on top. So just like I did in the kitchen with that cats and dogs kind of woven rug, and then I put the Realm of Magic rug on top, I do the same thing with this. I'm sure you guys have seen it before. It's the classic, I think it comes with City Living, the City Living rug. There we go. It's kind of like fuzzy, and I love putting it underneath the rugs because a lot of rugs just aren't the perfect size, but this rug is so easy to size up and to make it whatever size you want, because every time you size it up, it only goes up a little bit in size. But as in other rugs, what they do is they will go from tiny to huge with just one tap of the bracket button. But with this rug, it will go up in little increments, so it's really easy to use as a border if your rug is not the perfect size that you want. And that's why I did it in the kitchen, because I wanted that circle rug to be a little bit bigger, so I added that other rug under it as a border. And I wanted this wall with the fireplace to be super grand. So what I do is I add bookshelves to the side of them, and then of course I add more cabinets because I wanted the bookshelves to reach the ceiling. I love when they reach the ceiling. It looks so beautiful. I end up taking those bookshelves out from the middle or the cabinets out from the middle because I thought that was too much, but I did end up doing kind of the same lighting thing that I did in the kitchen, where next to the two cabinets on each side I have the little wall lights. So I add those there. Those wall lights are from Seasons, I believe. I want to add some decoration in the kitchen. Sometimes I'll just go from room to room. I'll see an object that I want to add either to the wall or just as a clutter item, and I'll be like, oh, I've got to switch up the room because I want to put that in there and I do not want to forget. So I'll just switch and put it in there. And I'm doing more of the cabinets, yes. I hope this is not too much cabinets for you, but you can always take it out if you do not like it. And adding some clutter to the desk. I also use cabinets in the bathrooms, by the way, so yes, it is a lot. I don't think I add the overhead cabinets in any bathroom except for the master, so there's not too many more, but there is more. Oh, and I love this Jungle Adventure mirror because it just looks like it's leaning against the wall from the desk, so I'll either put it on the floor or on a desk or something, and it just looks really nice. And I sized down the subtle saucer light so you cannot see it. I wanted something in the corner to be as big as the bookshelf, so I did size up that little decor item thing, and it does make some of the stuff on the shelf look super big, but I do like how it balances out the bookshelves because it goes tall to the ceiling. And now I'm figuring out just end tables. I wanted to add something to the back of the couches just to make the room a little more interesting. And I wanted to make this room kind of be a mix of white wood and brown wood because, you know, the cabinets and the bookshelves and the doorways and the windows are all white, but the floor is dark and the crowning on the walls are dark, so I wanted to kind of do a mix of that. So I did make the coffee table and the end tables dark, and then I made everything else white. And I decided I wanted this room to be the family room with the TV because it was kind of another room that led to more rooms, because on the right there that's going to be the library and on the left it's going to be the master. So I just decided to make this another kind of common space area. And I wanted to make another thing on the wall, so what I did is I placed shelves to make that whole TV thing seem like kind of like a set. So then I added some plants there, and I added some candles and some lights. And yeah, I do spend a lot of time on this too. I spend a lot of time on this. Like, this build, I believe, took a while, and I did not need to spend as much time, but I do obsess over the little things, and I want everything to be perfect. So that's why I try to limit what I'm doing to the build. Like in this build, I did the master bathroom and the master bedroom, but I did not do any of the upstairs bedrooms. I did all the bathrooms, but I did not do any of the bedrooms, and I hope that's okay with you guys. I just like to leave it kind of open for you guys to decide what you want to put in them, because 6 or 5 bedrooms, however many they are, it's a lot of bedrooms to fill, and I don't really know what kind of family I want living in this house anyways, so I kind of leave it up to you guys, and you can design what you want. And if you don't like that and you want me to start decorating the bedrooms, I'm more than happy to. I'm sure I can do that. But I don't know. I like keeping it open to options, and I don't want to kind of make up what kind of family is living in here. I want you to decide, because if your Sims are going to be living in here, then it's up to you, right? So I do have a little awkward space here in the corner of the room, so I put a piano, and then I just add some decorations, and then I decided to put some more bookshelves. There are a lot of bookshelves in this build. And next I'm going to move to the office/library. And I kind of had a hard time with this room because of the color scheme, because I wanted this wall to be like a cute kind of yellowy green, but I also wanted, once I added these curtains, I wanted to make it coral as well, so I didn't know how to match that exactly, but I think I did a pretty good job at making it work. I found this rug from Cats and Dogs that is both colors, so it really helps me a lot. And now I'm just trying to figure out the desk chair. Oh, and I also realized that I forgot a desk chair in the living room, so I add that too later. I am somehow forgetting chairs today for some reason. I also add some seating outside of the build. I add that off camera, but you'll be able to see it in the end when I do an overview of the house. So it's just some simple things, like some tables. I added one table with an umbrella, and I added a couple of lounge chairs and a couple of just living chairs here and there. And then I added on the balcony upstairs, I added a couple chairs and a table. So here I'm trying to put everything perfectly on the desk, using the method of putting it on the desk, moving the desk, and then hitting Alt to move the items to where I would want them to be up in thin air, and then moving the desk back to it. And I just wanted some more things here, so I decided just to put a couple plants and put a couple lights. And on that table I just put in between the 2 chairs, I did not know what to add, so I put tissues, because, I mean, I don't know, maybe the person who works here is a therapist and they would like tissues on their desk for their clients, I don't know. And, oh yeah, I'm going back to the living room just to add the final few touches. I wanted to add some music to be able, I wanted to have music to be able to play, so I added that little player and then sized it down. And then I just adding some more to the walls. Oh yep, more cabinets, of course. What else would I be adding? Okay, now I'm doing the master bedroom. And I kind of wanted this to be like a light color, like maybe mint green, kind of like the outside of the build. I wanted the outside of the build to be. But then the bed that I decided to use, I chose a red one, and it was kind of dark, so I did go with a dark theme, but I think I did a pretty good job at like lighting up the whole room. I used a lot of lamps, and I used wall lights, so it's not too dark, and also there are a lot of windows in this room, and a door to go outside into the back patio. And right now I'm doing a method where I kind of create my own, I don't know what it's called, but like, you know how when the beds, when they have those tall things around them, I kind of created my own because I added curtains onto the walls, then I put spandrels in. So this bed looks a lot more grand with that around it. And I like you doing this because that makes me able to put an ottoman at the end of it and kind of have it look really nice. And I do use a fireplace because I want this to be super fancy, and I add a TV because I want this, like, this is a big room, I want this to be a nice master. So as I'm decorating it, I use Get Famous couch. I love this couch. Kind of had a hard time with the red colors because some of the red is dark, like some of it on the couch is a kind of muted, faded red, but on the curtain and on the ottoman, it's a bright red, so I wanted to kind of mix that up. And the Get Famous couch is perfect because it has the dark red color of the couch, and then it has the lighter red pillows, so that worked perfectly. So here I am just adding some decorations I think I'm almost done in here. I wanted to add some dressers because I did not have a closet in this. And I know it's not real life, so it doesn't really matter, but I either like to have a dresser or a closet in the room, if not both. I would like to do both if possible. But for this, I just did dressers because that's okay. I have some closets upstairs as well. And here I go with my cabinets again. But I wanted to make this like nice, like not too much, but nice for a bathroom, especially for a master bathroom. And I piled up those two shelves on top of each other because I wanted to reach the top of the cabinet there. I just like the kind of levels to be the same. And I decided to use these two little rooms. I put doorways in them and use them as the toilet and the shower because on the other side of the bathroom, I made it like super fancy. I made two vanities, one for each person. They also have their own sinks each, and I did want to add a big bathtub, and I was gonna use a jacuzzi, but I ended up not having enough room once I added the vanities, so I did end up taking that out, but there's still a nice bathtub in there. And what I did was I used the island counters from Jungle Adventure, and I placed a table in the middle of that just so that you would have that kind of fancy clear glass in the middle of it. So I just thought that kind of made it look a little nicer for the master bathroom. I want it to be a little fancier than the other bathrooms. The other bathrooms I kind of made basic, and I made basically all the other bathrooms that aren't masters, I just make with the same tile, the same wallpaper, everything like that, and the same amenities, like the same shower, bath, if there is a bath, toilet, and sink, and cabinet, or counter. And I did that with all the other bathrooms in this, so all 5 upstairs, and the one downstairs too, the half bath. So here's the build, the final build. This is after I added the outdoor furniture as well, so you can kind of see I have a little fire pit in the back there. And I'm just going to go around my build and just show you guys everything. I added the little dormers on the side too. And here I'm going to show you the layout. So those are the 5 bedrooms up top. So I did do the bathrooms, but the bedrooms are free for you to fill. I added some cars to the garage just to fill. And that's the whole build. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for another video of mine. I'm hoping to have come out soon. Bye guys!